I used the wrong hand. It's fine.
Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. I'm Callie.
I'm Bean.
I'm Brittany.
So welcome back to the Serpent and Badger book club. So this is the first book of the entire year that we're going to talk about, and that is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. So we wanted to start off this year with a pretty big ticket item, I want to say. Very hyped up duology, and I know it's been on my bookshelves for a while.
Mine too.
And we wanted to dive into it. And it was a pretty lengthy book, but I think, I'll say it for myself, I thought it was worth it. It was a great read. So, Strange the Dreamer follows a boy named Laszlo and a girl named Sarai. We follow these two characters in this very mystical world where Laszlo's whole life goal is to learn about this city of Weep, where when he was a child, he heard these wonderful stories about this city, and one day the name disappeared and was replaced with the name Weep. And most people forgot about it and just didn't care, but it became Laszlo's life goal. And then we follow Sarai, who lives in Weep and is a surviving god spawn, which is a child of a god, and basically when Weep became Weep, the people of Weep killed all of the gods and the children, and she is one of the 6 survivors. So we're also following her in hiding and trying to survive and not get noticed by the people, which is pretty easy because they live in a citadel that hovers above the city. So it's a very difficult to describe world, but it is extremely lyrical and very mythical in its way. So I gave this book 4 stars.
I gave this book 4 stars.
I also gave it a 4-star.
We're good.
You good? Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
All right. So I gave it a 4-star because I did find the first, I want to say 150 to 200 pages a little slow. It was a lot of world building because this is an extremely fantastical high fantasy story. There was so much world building and so much information and history that we had to learn in order to fully understand the actual plot line going into it. So it was a little slow, but even though it was slow for me, I was still sucked into the story. And when we actually got into the meat of the story and where the actual plot was going, it went.
And I gave it a 4-star where I was almost the opposite at points where I loved the world building at the beginning. I loved the anthropological, the historical aspects that were really thrown into it. The world building, the development of both where Laszlo has grown up and then this city of Weep, they're both developed so well. But then I also had several times where I kind of predicted what happened, and so I was a little underwhelmed when I think I was supposed to be more overwhelmed by things. So
I gave it a 4-star because the ending really made me mad. Rampaging through my apartment mad. It's something that I can't really get into until spoilers, and I'll explain later, but it was just, there was so much buildup for me, and then it just became this thing that I'm like, cool, this is how it ends. This is
Cool, thanks.
awesome.
I hate it.
Thank you.
stop.
I thought there was enough action, there was enough of a love story, there was enough romance, but it wasn't forced. That's one of the biggest things when I read fantasy books, when they have a romance in there, is is this forced? Is this something that's actually okay for me? And it felt wonderfully done. I thought it was beautiful, and
It was so natural.
Yeah.
And it was a beautiful love story, and I really enjoyed the way that Laini Taylor approached the love story. It was so different from anything I've ever read.
I agree.
Just super cool. So now we're going to go into spoilers. So if you haven't read the book, you can stop here. Go read it. We all really recommend it. It does end on a huge cliffhanger, but both books are out and you can binge them. So fear not, your cliffhanger anger can be satiated with the sequel immediately. So
And it will need to be, basically.
it is a big cliffhanger. It's a little angering, as some people have found. So, welcome to Spoilerland. So, I guess the biggest spoiler, well, I guess would technically be the cliffhanger that angered somebody a lot.
Actually technically started the book.
Yep.
Yeah.
That definitely threw me off quite a bit.
There was a lot of swearing on my end.
So, with the beginning, we open up with Sarai falling out of a tower. but we don't know it's Sarai.
Mm-hmm.
We just, someone's falling out of a tower, and then it's Sarai, and she's now dead. Yeah.
And you kind of forget about it.
Mm-hmm.
You do, because so much happens.
Super forgot about it.
You just forget, and like, oh yeah. Then I actually reread the beginning part to see if where it was going at the current part was what I was thinking, and I hit that that connection, and that's when I flipped a table.
So the other big reveal that we get is Laszlo's actually a god spawn, which that one we all guessed.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Because, honestly, I don't know where the story was gonna go if he wasn't a god spawn.
There was no way that he wasn't going to be if this was a YA fantasy book.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry.
There were so many hints that he could see Sarai in her little nightmare thing, and then, like, he just wasn't blue. That was literally the only thing.
Well, and even at the beginning, like, he figured out this language to another world without a problem.
Yeah.
He had no issues figuring this stuff out, and he's just like, yeah, this is cool. Okay. Alright, so this must be familiar in some way or shape or form to you.
So that one was a bit obvious.
I will say, I liked the reveal of it. It
Oh,
wasn't him coming to the conclusion.
Mm-mm.
It was who I deemed the bad guy. One of the bad guys. I was like, huh, this is interesting.
Yeah, it was a very, I don't want to say anticlimactic, but it was like an anticlimactic, very climactic reveal. It was weird.
It was
really
a
much
weird.
more natural reveal
Mm-hmm.
than like, and climax here.
Yeah, it was
No,
very
it was just
well
like,
done.
and then this happened, and it's a really big deal, so pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
I just loved everyone around Laszlo going, oh
shit.
That one was a bit obvious, which is fine. I really enjoy his powers, because he's going to be able to save the whole Citadel thing, and, now that it's falling and causing lots of problems, like death.
Yeah.
But with
Explosions, things.
But with that, the powers in this story, because all the Godspawn have a different type of magic and a different type of power, which, let's all be honest, Sarai's is the most badass.
My favorite.
She screams moths.
She does.
And then those moths, when they touch you when you're asleep, she controls your entire dreamscape. Like, what? That is so unique and so just imaginative that it's just so cool.
Each of the powers that each of the Godspawn have are just so unique and so fitted and tailored to their personalities.
Yeah.
That it's not like some generic sort of magical powers here, like elemental powers or whatnot. It's like, no, this person has this personality, therefore she can control ghosts. And
she tethers ghosts to, one of them just tethers ghosts on like a leash.
Like, they can't
It's
do
so
anything.
cool.
She controls everything except for their thoughts.
Yeah.
And even then,
And
kind
even
of.
that, she kind of does.
It's
crazy.
Their powers are super cool and super unique.
Mm-hmm.
A+.
I think that was probably my favorite part,
Mm-hmm.
other than some of the people on the expedition with Laszlo, just because they were hilarious.
Yeah,
and
the
it
banter was
reminded me
amazing.
of the movie Atlantis.
A little
Okay.
bit, yeah.
The crew there, where they're just like all these really random people with all these really random personalities, and I just thought that was great.
The only thing that I could connect it to was Marissa Meyer building Renegades.
Yeah,
How
that's
creative
a
she
lot of
was. All of a sudden, we're getting even more creativity.
But with the, nightmare and all of that, that's how Laszlo and Sarai meet, is she's trying to give nightmares to this new expedition, and usually in her nightmares, she's called the Muse of Nightmares. Hey, it's not like that's the name of the second book or anything, or anything of that nature. She usually can control 100% of their dream, and the person can't see her. Laszlo sees her. That's a whole big thing and a whole new thing, and then their relationship blossoms into this beautiful wonderfulness that I love. And then the ending happens, and I'm real mad about it, because they only have their love story in dreams.
Yeah.
The first time that Laszlo touches her is when he's taking her dead body off of the impaled fence.
Raging.
I have feelings.
Raging. The entire...
So many
entire
feelings.
time. Entire time.
It hurt me on a fundamental level.
Because I had a couple of predictions myself, and I was like, maybe I have hope, and then that... No. My world shattered. It's fine.
With that, we do have several predictions for book 2. And a lot of this was build up. At least it felt like build up. There wasn't a straight up bad guy in this. There were characters who were flawed, but there wasn't a clear cut villain, which those are some of my favorite stories. However, I do think we will get a clear cut villain in book 2. So
Yay.
I definitely think Minya's gonna be a problem.
Yes.
Because she's a
controlling.
she's a controlling little child who can control ghosts and made a ghost army and just wants everyone to die.
Literally.
Quite literally. And now that she controls Sarai's ghost, that's a whole other problem.
Because then she can control, like, dreams and nightmares, kind of.
It's a whole problem.
It could be
I'm
a whole
happy
thing.
about it.
It's a big problem.
I'm a little worried,
happy.
not gonna lie.
I think the biggest question that I had at the end of this book is, it is revealed that the way that the godspawn were made is in a very dark and twisted manner. The gods kidnapped women and made them bear their children. It is a very dark and twisted aspect of this story, and is the whole reason for the revolt of the city of Weep on the gods, which is fair.
Completely and utterly.
Completely fair.
Yes.
However, this has been going on for ages, and we are only told that the children and the gods were killed in this revolt. So, if this has been going on for generations, where are the older godspawn? Where are they?
They killed, like, the little children.
They killed the kids.
That's it.
Just the babies
That's
in the
what
nursery.
we hear, at least.
That's all we know.
And that's just from, like, our understanding.
My prediction is that the gods, who are basically our villains, but they're dead, they took the children when their powers manifested and ate them. Because that's a big thing in, like, Greek mythology.
It is.
It is a huge thing in Greek mythology. And it already reached a level of twisted that this just felt like a natural way of things. So I thought that they ate the children to gain more immortality and more powers for themselves. That's my prediction with where the other older godspawns are.
And I'd have to go with, I think they're all just, like, in hiding somewhere because they learned that there was a revolt and we're like, yeah, probably shouldn't go back there.
I'm out.
We don't hear from them again. Maybe it's just a plot hole we'll never get solved too, so I don't know.
Because a lot of, for me, I didn't really think about it. I just assumed that they either died or were killed during the revolt. Because, yes, we don't necessarily hear about, like, the teenagers that were living in there. It could have also been where the gods also saw them as inferior and made them servants.
Yeah.
And Minya didn't think of anything of it when they died, so their ghosts were just released. So that's kind of where I was sitting. I was like, well, maybe they were just kept under a very tight rope as well and made to serve. Yeah. Because they don't really fit anywhere. Like, they don't fit in with the humans because they're seen as evil, but they also don't fit in with the gods because they're seen as these lesser. Yep. So it's like, I was just like, maybe they were just there and died.
So the other big question that I had was, how did Laszlo escape? So he was found by monks miles and miles away from Weep as a baby and wasn't even really there for the revolt. So, my thought was they make this big deal out of this white bird that seems to vanish in and out of reality. It just sort of like pops up and pops out. So, I think that maybe Laszlo's human mother... It is revealed that Laszlo is Scathis' son, which means he's Minya's half-brother. But Scathis was like the big evil god. He was the leader. He was the big bad guy. Like, taking the humans and all of that was his idea. And it was a whole thing. Yeah.
Rude.
Bad guy. And since Laszlo has his father's powers, we are also told earlier in the book that the children that manifested with Scathis' powers were just taken away. Don't know why. Just taken away. So, bad feeling, Mojo. My thought was that Laszlo's mother, when realizing what Laszlo's powers were going to be, gave him to Wraith, and Wraith took him away. That was my thought of how Laszlo was able to escape and go hidden as a godspawn in the human world for so long.
So would that be why when the big caravan of people came to the library, they came to Laszlo?
Just so many predictions on this. I also think that Sparrow is probably the child of someone we know down in Weep. There are just so many thoughts about, there are so many connections that can be made in the second book, and I know I've read the second book already. I know all these answers. These are my original predictions, as to not spoil the second book, because they haven't read it yet. I have zero patience. I think we have hashed out the main predictions and main issues that we had with this story. I found Muse of Nightmares to be just as enjoyable, and highly recommend both of them. It is a great duology. It ends very nicely in a cute little bow. It's good.
Yay.
Yay.
Good to know.
Happy time. Good times.
Great.
I was happy. Some people might not be. So, for our February book of the month, we are reading Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. We wanted a nice little love story for the month of February. Look, it's nice, bright, and pink.
It's so pretty.
It is very pretty. We've all heard really good things about this book, so we're very excited to dive in. We will talk about this sometime in the middle of March, so you can look forward to that. Also, check out our Goodreads page. We now have an official Goodreads page for the Serpent and Badger Book Club. Feel free to join in our discussions. We have so many things going on down there. All of the books that we're planning on reading for I think until July is on there, and including our book to movie review readathon that we're constantly doing. So we've already picked books for after Harry Potter and even more, I think, till the end of this year. We're very excited for it. So feel free to check that out. It will be linked down below. And then feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. We post videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday.
And if you want to be reminded whenever we post these videos, feel free to hit the bell icon down below.
And be sure to follow us on Instagram. Our individual and joint handles will be linked below.
And we will see you guys in our next video.
Bye!